You know what's been remarkable in this whole trade tit for tat? The president enjoys more support right now from prominent Democrats than he does Republicans, many of whom are afraid, at least in the latter, to call him out on this, despite their concerns about free trade being compromised. I want to get the read on that from Jason Furman. Of course, you remember him as the chairman of President Obama's Council of Economic Advisors. Chairman, very good to have you back with us. You know, it's interesting because I can remember the devil of a time you guys had with the Trans-Pacific Partnership with the likes of Senator Warren and Senators Wyden, two very prominent liberals, both not keen on a trade deal that they said compromise U.S. jobs. Now it's happening in reverse, right?
You know, Neil, thanks for having me on your show. And trade is an issue that definitely cuts across party lines. I think, though, the right economic answer is very clear, which is that expanding trade can be really good for our economy. Our economy is very dependent on trade. And so when you try to limit it in a haphazard way, that's a minus for us, not a plus. So President Obama was always trying to expand trade. In fact, he even got Canada to drop its milk tariffs, the ones President Trump keeps complaining about. Unfortunately, we pulled out of TPP, so we still have those tariffs.
So had that not happened, that wouldn't have happened, right? That was the argument?
Exactly. If we'd had TPP, we would have had zero milk tariffs, and Canada would be treating us even more fairly than it already is.
All right. The president seems to think the Canadians are sneaky, though, and that some of our best friends pull some fast ones on us. I understand. I see these WTO numbers, where the overall average tariff is actually not that severe in Canada, around 4.5% versus 3.5% here. But there are isolated instances. What do you make of where this is going? Because now we're putting the ball in China's court. If they even think of doing more, it's going to up the ante. If the Canadians even say the wrong word, it's going to up the ante. Where are we going here?
Look, that's a great question, Neil. I wish I knew the answer as to where we were going. There's China, where there's a set of legitimate issues around intellectual property and disparate treatment of our companies there.
But how did you guys deal with that, Jason? I know it was tough, and I think there was a great column I remember when the president first took over, one of his first trips in the first year. I think the first president to go within his first year to China. And they even back then were trying to pull some fast ones.
Well, Neil, one thing we were very successful on was currency. The Chinese currency appreciated a lot. That was a step that we pushed them very hard on.
Because they were rigging it, right? They were fixing it.
They definitely were, right? And they're not anymore. And their trade balance.
You sure they're not anymore? They're not doing it as much.
They manage it, but they manage it in both directions, I think, to prevent volatility. Although they could go back to fixing it. I mean, if they want to keep a trade surplus with the United States, no matter what we do on tariffs, they can change their exchange rate. But look, their trade surplus overall, their current account surplus went from 10% of GDP to 1.5% of GDP. So it came way, way down. On the overall balance, we made a lot of progress. We did not make a lot of progress on these types of IP theft issues. And I think that was just going to take more time, continue to win cases in the WTO like we did, continue to put pressure on them and isolate them through steps like TPP.
But you did trust in international organizations to resolve disputes, and you did have remarkable success with the World Trade Organization. This president not so keen on some mid-level referees. That it's America, we don't do that. What do you make of that approach? Yeah,
President Trump issued an economic report of the president, and that economic report of the president discussed the statistics, which is that the U.S. has been very successful in the WTO. China has been very unsuccessful in the WTO. In fact, a lot of what the WTO does is restrain unfair trade practices by China. I think that's the only way to win here. The United States, does not have enough leverage by itself to win a trade war. It can only win it together with allies, together with an international set of rules which are on our side.
When the president talks about the economy firing all cylinders and he's the reason, how do you feel about that?
First of all, I think the economy is doing great right now. The unemployment rate is great. The growth rate this quarter looks great. Wages are still disappointing. That's one thing that's actually gotten worse over the past year relative to what was before. I think 90% of this is the momentum that the economy had, the global economy strengthening, but certainly $200 billion of fiscal stimulus this year, tax cuts and spending increases. That's going to help the economy in the short run. I just don't think it's going to do a whole lot in the medium and long run.
You'll be surprised how the Trump people disagree. Jason's here. I wish I could and get you back for more discussion with all this breaking news. You're a great guest and oversaw a remarkable time.